right, here we are with our second and last example for 1-14 notes. Remember, we're writing the equation of lines. So that equation of a line is that y equals mx plus b. And so you're following the same steps as we did in this other first example. You're first starting off by finding that slope. I'm just going to turn this into its own little boxy box here. Start by finding that slope. So here they do give us 1 point, but on first glance it might look like they don't give us a second point, but they actually do. When they tell us that there's an x-intercept of -4, x-intercept, remember, means that it's crossing the x-axis, and that would be over here. And a point, or an x-intercept of -4, results in the coordinate point of -4, 0. Because we learned in our previous lesson that x-intercepts are always going to have a y value of 0 because there's no movement up or down if it's on the x-axis. So I've got my 2 points. So I'm going to start off with that step number 1, and I'm going to find the slope. And just like I did in the first example, I'm going to use that y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So x, y, and let's go. So -6 minus 0, remember your y's are on top, and I took from -6 first, so 5 minus -4. Leaves me with -6 over 9, which can be reduced to -2/3, because 3 goes into 6 twice and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So now that I've got my slope, or I've got my m value, I need to plug in that m and a coordinate point and solve the equation for b. So over here, I'm going to come over on this side, and I'm going to do that step 2, and I'm going to plug stuff in. So I'm going to use this -4 0 point because those are smaller numbers than 5 and -6. So y is 0, so I have 0 equals m. My slope was -2/3. -2/3. X is -4. And then again, that plus b stays as a plus b. So now we're just going to take that equation and solve. That is not how you spell solve. For b. So jumping to my calculator and doing -2/3 times -4, -2/3 times -4, ugly repeating decimal. When I math bracket, that gives me 8/3 plus b. That's a positive 8/3. The opposite of a positive 8/3 is a negative 8/3 here. The biggest mistake you're going to make here is going to be trying to multiply by the reciprocal, but you've got to watch out that that's not the operation going on between the 8/3 and the b. It would have to be multiplication to do that. So last but not least, b is equal to -8/3. So now, final step is to just rewrite that equation, filling in your m and your b. So y equals, remember my slope was -2/3, x minus my b value, which was 8/3. It's not the best 3 I've ever drawn. There we go. And that is my equation. Boom.